and welcome to Safe Schools. I'm Curtis Graves.
And I'm Andy Howard.
Andy, we have a good show today, I believe.
I believe so.
We're going to be talking to Terry King with the Drug Education Council. We're going to be talking about stakeholders. This is, we always talk about stakeholders in the community.
Absolutely,
and how vital stakeholders are in the education system. So, a lot of information. Hopefully, we get a chance to get it all done. Terry's a big talker. And we're hoping he can talk.
I'm excited about it. I hope that we can get an opportunity to share some more positive and beneficial information to the public. And again, I think this is going to be a good show myself, Curtis.
We'll be back after the commercial break.
Diesel is a very big industry, and I went into it in a 2-year program at the Bryant Career Tech with Tony Timmer.
When Jacob graduated from the Bryant Career Center, he had earned his diesel credential.
The Career Technical Center taught me a lot, all the way from not knowing anything about a motor or engine to knowing pretty much every single moving part of them.
MCPSS Career Tech. Start your future today.
The quality of education that I received from the Mobile County Public School System really prepared me for global success. Being an international opera singer, I get to travel all across the world. And one of the most important aspects about that is being able to communicate and work with people. And the Mobile County Public School System really equipped me to be greatly successful worldwide.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Let's switch to Energy Star light bulbs and stop burning through cash. Saving energy saves you money.
Welcome back, and Mr. King, Terry King, welcome. Welcome to Safe Schools.
Thank you, Mr. Officer Graves.
You can call me Curtis.
Curtis, thank you, Curtis.
We really appreciate you coming out, sharing with the public and sharing with us what you do. But before we get into what you do, we want to talk a little bit about you and your career and your education. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Curtis, I've had a fortunate career. If I may say, I'm blessed. I graduated from Mississippi State University. I'm a proud graduate of Manatee Blount High School. And I spent 25 years in education in the Mobile County Public School System, but before that I spent 5 years in the state of Mississippi, in Greenwood, Mississippi. And so I've had a very fortunate career.
You sure have.
As an educator, Terry, you did a lot of different things. So, you didn't do just one thing. You did a bunch of things, didn't you? You were a classroom teacher.
Correct, yes.
You were a coach. You're an administrator.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Now, what did you teach?
I was the health, driver's ed, and physical aid education teacher, and I was the track and field coach at several schools.
Okay. And you got out of the classroom and went into administration.
Yes, I was an administrator at Hillsdale Middle School.
Okay.
Assistant principal at Palmer Pillis Middle School. And I finalized that transition at Manatee Blount High School, where I graduated. So that is a blessing.
Say that with a big smile, don't you?
Yes.
Kind of made a full circle there, didn't you?
Sure did.
From being a student at Blount to the administrator at Blount.
Let's talk about being a teacher. Okay, you've actually went through the gamut with the whole thing there, from teacher to administrator and coach, not in that particular order. But as a teacher, what were your experiences then as they are today in what you do as a facilitator for the Drug Education Council?
Curtis, I think it all boils down to relationships with young people. Mm-hmm. You have to have a relationship with them, and what I mean by relationship is, they have to believe in you. Young teenagers can read through you. They know when you really care about them, and they know when you don't care about them. They know when you're telling them the truth, and they know when you're not telling them the truth.
Right.
So for me, throughout my career, it's been about establishing relationships.
Okay, all right.
So we transition, okay? You, after spending 5 years in Mississippi and 25 years in Mobile, you retired.
Correct.
But you didn't quit working.
No.
So you started something else now. And what is that something else in particular in relationship to, as Curtis alluded, the Drug Ed Council? What are you doing for them?
Well, and sometimes we don't control our destiny.
Okay.
You know, there's always something else that entices us to do certain things. And I'll be the first to tell both of you gentlemen, I had no intentions on doing what I'm doing now. But kudos goes out to Mrs. Scott, Director of the Drug Education Council. You know, her heart is with providing education about drugs and alcohol to young people. And when I retired, I received a phone call from Mrs. Vandelin Pierre, who's also at the Drug Education Council, asking me, informing me that Mrs. Guy wanted me to do a program in the school system. At first, I told her I would get back with her. I wasn't sure.
That's not good when people say
No,
that.
I wasn't sure that I wanted to go back in the trenches. After 30 years, you know, I've always said, you know, I would know when it's time. And I felt it was time to pass the baton on to a younger generation and give them the opportunity to get involved with the young people. So when I got the phone call, I turned it down, as I said, and then I accepted the position. And the position started last year. I'm a facilitator. I started last year going into all 12 high schools, talking about the dangers of using alcohols and drugs. And I started with the 9th grade class.
Okay. The program has more than one level to it, doesn't it? You introduced this conversation about drugs and alcohol to kids on more than one grade level. Is that right?
That's correct. It's two components. Myself and two other facilitators, we do the education component. Occupational Health Center, they does the drug testing itself. So myself and other two facilitators, we go into the schools and provide the educational facts. We want the kids to get, young people to get the facts about the dangers of alcohol and drugs, and not from their classmates or not from their friends.
And that's so important, because I think every show we've done so far, the subject of social media has been part of the conversation. Social media is the horse that got out of the barn, okay? And it's almost impossible to bring it back into the barn. So what you do in terms of trying to at least put a perimeter around the horse kind of helps out not just the Drug Education Council, but the public school system as well as families. Expound on that a little bit for me.
You know, Curtis, I'm not technology savvy.
Okay.
I'll be the first to tell you, I'm pencil, paper, and file cabinet. That's me. But one part of the presentation, we talk about decision-making skills. And I share with students about Facebook, because, you know, a lot of our young people on Facebook, Twitter, and all these things. And one thing I emphasize with them is what they put on Facebook, it's there.
It's there, it doesn't go away.
It's there.
Right.
And that much I know. That much I know. And I've had students that say they deleted it. No, you have not deleted it. It's still there. So I get try to get young people to understand that they have to understand that when they grow older, when they get a job, what if the employer who hired them decide to go and look on their Facebook page,
Like I'm doing right now,
like
right?
you're doing now, and pull this information up, and they go, oops, why didn't I get the job?
Yeah.
It could be something that you put on Facebook.
It could be that picture that you have with a bottle of liquor in your hand,
Exactly.
smiling. It could be any of those different things that we leisurely put online, not realizing the impact that it has on our lives later.
Correct.
You know, along that line, you know, you're talking about impact on lives later, and you alluded to the relationship between what you're doing in education and the actual testing part of the component of this same program and its relationship with schools. Now, they're testing to find evidence of drugs in a person's body, you know, past behavior.
Correct.
And then you talked about the drug ed, and you all doing that. You talked about the media and that happening. And then you also kind of went to the thing about employers. So one of the things that I guess is significant about this circle that we just covered is when a kid leaves us, the schools, and get out into the world, one of the things that's going to be a part of their experience is drug testing is just a part of life now. It's part of, you know, any employment that you look at, there's a likelihood you'll be drug tested. And so they need to understand that this is a dynamic that's not going to go away. It's just a reality of the future of young folks and their career pursuits. So, you know, one of the things I guess you're doing is helping them to grasp that this is just a new reality to the world that they now live in. When you take a drug test here in school, it's just preparation for the reality. When you get out in the world, that's definitely what's going to happen. And you're getting a job and keeping a job can be impacted profoundly by the decision to take drugs.
Terry, the groups that you talk to, are they large groups, small groups? How is it comprised?
Curtis, Ms. Peak, the superintendent, and Mr. Mouton, who's over Career Tech, they've been really supportive. And that's one thing we stretch. We did not want a large group because it's hard to get the message across to a large group, especially at that age. So we do it in a classroom setting. And also we're flexible. You know, whatever, we try not to interfere with the daily operation of the school. We try not to interfere with the education of what's going on in the school. So that's what's so great about this program. We're allowed to start in August, and there's a timetable to finish by the end of school. So it's not that pressure to just finish it overnight.
And do you find that when you have a small group and you open up the forum for dialogue, that people are more comfortable talking in small groups?
Oh gosh, Kurt, that's an understatement. I must admit. After I finish the presentation, we try not to go past an hour because we don't want the kids to think it's a lecture. We're not in there to lecture them. That's that relationship. You know, don't go in there. We don't go in there looking like, I don't go in there and the others don't go in there looking like we're better than you.
Right. You want them to talk, right?
We want them to talk.
Right.
I want them to feel that I was one of them. I was sitting in a desk and I had to get guidance from someone. I'm still growing. And I tell the young people now, you know, I'm here talking to you, but I'm still learning. I'm still learning because, you know, there's nothing wrong with continuing to grow. And I think that's what young people need to understand.
I like that.
What are some of the things that you talk with them about in these lectures?
As I said, that's a 2-question survey.
Okay.
The first question we asked the young people is, how did they feel about the presentation? It's a PowerPoint presentation. It's about decision-making skills. It's about the dangers of spice.
With that, Terry, we're going to take a brief break, and then I want you to get into that a little more.
Nonviolence will start with me.
Nonviolence will start with me.
All across the Mobile County Public School System, students are taking the pledge.
I pledge to accept the responsibility of my actions.
To solve problems peacefully.
Respect myself and others.
The 100 Days of Nonviolence Pledge. It's an initiative to help explore alternative means of stopping violence among school students. Will you take the challenge? Get involved. Take a stand. 100 Days, 100 Ways.
Smartboard, that's right.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to energy-saving bulbs. Saving energy saves you money. When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money.
And we're back. Terry, before we went to break, you were about to kind of expound a little bit about the subjects that you discussed with some of these young folks. You mentioned spice, and you mentioned alcohol. Could you elaborate a little bit about what your conversation and what you talk about?
Sure. As I said, we have a PowerPoint. And one thing with the presentation, we try to take the young people, not a commercial type presentation, and that's what got their attention. We tried to put a presentation together that the students here again can relate to. Right. And so part of the presentation are the individuals in the presentation are individuals their age. And so when we talk about spice, a lot of young people express a big concern. Unfortunately, a lot of them do know how to make it. Let's be real about it. But our goal is to let them know it is fake marijuana. It is nothing but poison, and the parents need to understand spice is nothing but poison. It's made from nothing that is beneficial for your body, and you know, and even with after the presentation, we do a survey, the 2-question survey, what I was alluding to at first. And the first question asked the students what did they think about the presentation. Overwhelmingly, spice. That's what they found most interesting. A lot of them did not know that spice had poison in it. And you know, we talked about fertilizer being in spice. We talked about roach poison being in spice. And this was really astonishing to the kids, and you know, they're just standing up talking to them and seeing their expression on their face.
So this educational element, I mean, them learning what spice really is versus what they heard on the street.
Yes, not learning it from their neighbors or they're in the community or their classmates, learning the actual facts about the dangers of that drug.
What do they share with you about peer pressure as it relates to decision making? And how does the program help them better deal with peer pressure?
Curtis, the survey in itself, a lot of the information is confidential, and that's the confidentiality. That's what was so emotional to me reading all of them. You know, being a parent myself and reading what young people write and have to say to you, and that's what the survey is all about. It gave the students a chance to express themselves. You know, just talking, you know, and just reading them, a lot of them are concerned that, you know, their friends or their neighbors are getting involved in spice. And a lot of them are and I had several students express their concern about the fact that someone tried to entice them to get involved in smoking spice. And they're glad they did not take that step, because now they know the actual ingredients associated with it. Right.
That's significant, Terry. I mean, you know, a lot of times these young folks are basing their decisions on the information that they have.
Right.
And so by expanding their knowledge with factual information, with accurate understanding, you know, you help that young person, and that young person may impact someone else. And, you know, so it's a domino effect that's beneficial across the spectrum.
Right.
You also mentioned alcohol, which is still a problem, huh?
Right. Most definitely. And that's another part of the presentation that the students are very interested in. I talk about one part of the brain, the hippocampus. That's the
what now?
Hippocampus.
Okay.
That's the growing part of the
Yeah,
brain.
right.
That part of the brain does not develop until around your mid-20s to 25.
What exactly do the kids say when you identify?
Well, you know, you really they pay attention,
Okay.
because I tell them, you know, these are things no one is telling them now.
Right, exactly.
No one is telling them that their brain is constantly growing, and if they are taking that risk of doing drugs and alcohol, it can get into that part of the brain, and it can cause serious damage. So, you know, they need to understand that part of the brain is just like an infant.
So basically, it stunts the development of the brain.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and can cause other problems within the brain.
And so with those kinds of educational facts being disseminated, you know, young folks are leaving your courses, your sessions better informed and better prepared.
Yeah, I hope so. And based on their comments in the survey, you know, we go to the advertisement. You know, I tell young people about advertisements. A lot of times, unfortunately, the advertisement of alcohol and drugs is geared toward them.
Exactly.
It's geared toward, especially when it comes to alcohol, you know, in the communities. You know, I was recently out of town in the community, and I was speaking to some young people, and I was doing something else. And I asked them, I said, you all ever walked around your neighborhood and noticed in your neighborhood, and you ever went and asked your store owner, why do they have so many beer advertisements around their window?
Advertisement. We're going to take another break for an advertisement, Terry. And then when we come back, we're going to let you expound on that. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
It started with me at Murphy High School when I came here as a freshman in 1973. I was very interested in math and science already before I came to Murphy. From Murphy High School, I was appointed to the U.S. Naval Academy, was able to get my college degree and also my commission in the U.S. Navy from the Naval Academy. But it truly was the foundation that I gained here at Murphy High School that allowed me to take advantage of that great opportunity.
And we're back. And Terry, you were about to talk about advertisement, and that advertisement that is either beneficial or consequential. You were just saying that some of this advertisement is oriented toward young folks.
Yes. I really do believe that, and our communities need to step up, because in certain communities, you go to certain communities and you look at their stores, and all you see is beer and wine pictures all over the stores. And as I said, I was visiting a school in a community recently, and I was talking to the students, and I said, go in your community, and I want you to ask, get your parents to ask their store owner, why is it that when you first walk into their store, there's a barrel of beer sitting there? Why, who you're trying to entice to buy that beer? Because there are young people who walk into that store to buy candy, and it's right there.
And then right next to each other, right? The candy
right
counter?
next to the candy and potato chip shelf.
And do we see that more in little small package stores, convenience stores, as opposed to the big chain stores?
Exactly, Curtis. It's more so in the small community stores, and I do have a serious problem with that, because if I'm an adult, I know where to go buy the beer or wine if I'm going to do it. Why you don't need to place it in front of the store right next to the potato chip stand?
And now that you now that you say it, it is bad to walk into a service station and near the register there's a barrel of beer.
Right.
And you're at a service station, right?
Exactly. And it goes the same for the cigarettes.
So is that a good combination? The barrel of beer at the gas station?
At barrel of beer at the gas station, cigarettes, everything that you don't want your child to see or to get involved in, they're being introduced to it as soon as they walk into your store.
Right.
And I think that's a community issue that we need to take up.
Communities can have influence on what happens in their community and what their children are exposed to.
Right.
And it's up to people to decide what they really want and say so.
We have got to take the blinders off and accept the fact that as adults, our young people are reaching out for us. Just in the surveys, the information we've been giving them, they wanted it. So as adults, we have to say somewhere down the line we failed.
Right.
We failed. Now it's time for us to stop failing and pick back up and give them the facts that they want.
Influence, one, what we put in our body.
Yes.
And two, what we put in our head.
Yes.
What we think and what we do. Our choices in both areas are important, and we need to try to make sure that we make good decisions and influencing them to make good decisions about their future and their present, for that matter.
Right.
I was just curious, Terry, you were talking about your relationship with the Drug Ed Council. How did you get involved with the Drug Ed Council?
Well, Andy, I've been with the Drug Ed for quite a while, but it wasn't as in depth now. I started Drug Ed. They have a summer program over at Williamson High School, grades 6 to 12 that kids can come involved to. It's an educational program about decision making, the dangers of drugs and alcohol. It's just a summer program. And so it started many, many years ago, so I've been with them since then.
You're also a facilitator with CAP, right?
Exactly. I work with the CAP program on Tuesday nights.
And the CAP program is their chemical abuse prevention program. It's a component of the discipline action of the school district.
Yes.
And not just the school district, but also
the courts.
The court system
the court
as well.
system.
Right. Terry, personal question, man. And I think we all have our own story. What is your personal story? What drives you to do what you do? Because you do a lot in the community. You do a lot for young people. You do a lot for the school system. You do a lot for the Drug Education Council. What motivates you?
I'm glad you asked that question, Curtis. The stereotype. I'm from Pritchard.
I'm not laughing.
I am from Pritchard, and when I tell kids in the presentation, you wouldn't believe the smirks I get.
Okay.
And they're good smirks.
Okay.
Because that's that stereotype. And I use that, Curtis and Andy, because I tell them it's okay to be different. You got to realize I'm from Pritchard, and I ran cross country. Now, how many young people in Pritchard, when I was growing up, wanted to go out and jog 5 miles after school? After they came from school, I put my books down, I go jogging 5 miles.
So let me get this right. You didn't go sit on the sofa and eat potato chips?
I didn't sit on the sofa and eat potato chip. My mother, you know, God bless her, she's no longer with her. She would say I was a strange little fella. She's never seen no one like me, because I would tell her that I was going to go jogging. And when I would go jogging, mostly everyone else after school, if they were outside playing, they were either playing basketball or football. So I tell the young people, look at me. I was different, but I was different in a good way. And that goes back when I go in with the presentation, trying to establish relationship. It's okay to be different.
Right.
The only thing is being different, like I was, you might not have a lot of friends. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing, but you are motivated to succeed, and that's the way I was. So that's what motivated me.
But the thing again is to dare to be different, be who you are, not who someone else is. But it takes understanding who you are to do that. And I think the program that you guys do with the Drug Education Council kind of helps create that or discover that for the individual.
Right, exactly. And you know, getting back to the different part, I had several students to express their concern about that. You know, saying that, Mr. King, thank you. You know, Mr. King, thank you. You're right. You know, it is okay to be different. Now, I think I had a young person say, now I'm not going to do what I used to be doing. You know, so that goes on to that being different. When they see a person like me, you know, saying it's okay to be different and going in, they may, you know, change their thought process.
Right.
Well, that's significant, Mr. King, being different, okay? And we appreciate the difference that you're trying to make in the community and the difference that your program with the Drug Education Council is trying to make in educating young folks to make different decisions, good different decisions. And that's what this program is about. This is what your program is about. And we hope that we have had a positive influence, and you are having a positive influence on making young people make good, positive decisions. This is Safe Schools with Andy and Kurt, and Mr. King, we are grateful to have had you today.
Thank you.
Well, before you say that to him, real quick.
Okay.
I'm sorry for breaking in, Andy. What would be the last thing you would want to say to a child?
What I would love to tell all young people, here again, it's okay to be different. Being different is not a bad thing. Being different can be the difference between what you're doing now and the success you have in life.
Okay, with that, this has been Safe Schools.